There is a tale, simple in words yet vast in meaning, whispered across centuries and carried by the winds of countless cultures. It begins with a farmer, a horse, and the endless mystery of life. But before the story unfolds, pause for a moment and look at your own journey. Think of the last time something happened that shook you. Perhaps you lost an opportunity you deeply wanted, or someone walked away from your life, or a sudden obstacle blocked the path you thought was yours. In that moment, what did you tell yourself? This is terrible. Why me? My luck is cursed. Or maybe, when things seemed to go your way, you whispered, finally, fortune has smiled on me. We are quick to label, quick to decide what is good and what is bad. Yet beneath these judgments hides a truth most of us rarely notice. Life does not move in straight lines. What appears as misfortune today may become a blessing tomorrow. What glitters as success may later reveal itself as a burden. And somewhere between our rush to praise or condemn, reality quietly continues its dance. This is where the story of the farmer begins. A story not of kings or battles, not of gods or miracles, but of an ordinary man in a small village facing ordinary struggles, the kind you and I know all too well. His life, simple as it seemed, became a mirror for one of humanity's deepest questions. How do we know if something is truly good or bad? Philosophers have wrestled with this question for millennia. Religions, too, have given their answers. Yet Buddhism, with its clear gaze into the impermanent and interconnected nature of life, offers a perspective both humbling and liberating. It tells us, what you call fortune, what you call misfortune, are just shifting waves upon an endless ocean. Imagine for a moment the farmer's world. His days shaped by the soil, his survival tied to the strength of his animals, his hopes resting on a single horse. And then in a sudden turn, that horse is gone. A tragedy, the villagers say, a misfortune, they declare. But the farmer, with a quiet voice, simply answers, who knows? It is this who knows that unsettles us, because we live in a world hungry for certainty. We want answers, closure, definitions of success and failure. Yet life resists such labels. It slips through them like water through the fingers. Think about it. The promotion that looked like a dream job but drained your health. The heartbreak that led you to meet someone who truly understood you. The failure that taught you resilience, opening doors you never imagined. Isn't it strange how the story always unfolds differently than we expected? The farmer's tale is not just about him. It is about you, about me, about every human being who has ever stood at the edge of despair or danced in the glow of triumph, only to realize that neither despair nor triumph could last. And this, perhaps, is the first quiet lesson. Do not cling too tightly to your judgments, for life has more chapters to write. The page you call misfortune may be the very page where a new blessing begins. The page you crown as fortune may carry the seed of struggle. The story is not finished yet. As we step deeper into the parable, let us hold this thought gently in our hearts, that what we call good or bad may simply be the unfolding of something larger than our eyes can see. And so the story opens, the farmer, his horse, and the curious whispers of fate. The sun had barely risen over the quiet village when the farmer discovered the empty space where his horse once stood. The stable, usually filled with the soft sounds of breathing and hooves against the earth, was silent. The gate swung open. The animal was gone. For farmer, a horse was more than just a companion. It was strength in the fields, speed on the roads, and security for the family's survival. Without it, work would be harder, harvests uncertain, and the future fragile. News traveled quickly in small villages, and before long, neighbors gathered at his door. They shook their heads with pity. What misfortune, they whispered. How unlucky you are. What will you do now? In their voices was the weight of judgment, an immediate conclusion that what had happened must surely be bad, and who could blame them? Isn't that what we all do? When something valuable slips away, our first thought is loss, despair, unfairness. But the farmer did not answer as they expected. He did not curse the heavens or cry out against fate. Instead, with a calmness that unsettled his neighbors, he simply said, "Who knows if this is good or bad?" The words hung in the air, confusing to those who heard them. How could he speak so lightly in the face of such loss? Surely he should grieve, or at least agree with their sympathy. But the farmer did not cling to judgment. He stood in the stillness of not knowing. This response may sound strange, even foolish, but hidden within it is a seed of wisdom. The Buddha once taught that everything is impermanent, constantly changing. Joy shifts into sorrow and sorrow into joy as easily as day becomes night. The farmer, in his own way, embodied this truth. Think of how often we trap ourselves in our own judgments. A failed exam, a missed opportunity, a sudden goodbye. Each time we stamp the moment with a label, bad, unlucky. Misfortune, but life is not finished. The story has not ended. What feels like a closed door may in time reveal itself as the opening of a new path. The farmer's neighbors, caught in the habit of labeling, could not see this. They looked only at the empty stable and the missing horse. They saw disaster, but the farmer saw something larger, the mystery of life unfolding beyond immediate perception. Pause here and ask yourself, when something slips away from your life, do you see only the loss, or do you leave room for the unknown? This is where the farmer's story becomes our story. His who knows is not ignorance, it is humility. It is the recognition that we cannot see far enough into the future to know what today's event will mean tomorrow. And so the farmer returned to his work. No tears, no curses, no clinging to what had gone, just a quiet acceptance as though he were listening for what life might reveal next. Little did he know, the missing horse was not gone forever. It was on a journey that would soon return with a twist no one in the village could have predicted. Days passed, the farmer continued his work in the fields, carrying on with the rhythm of life as though nothing extraordinary had happened. The villagers still whispered about his loss, shaking their heads each time they passed his home. To them, the empty stable was a symbol of misfortune. To the farmer, it was simply part of the unfolding story. Then one morning, the sound of hooves thundered across the valley. At first, it was faint, like a distant storm. But soon, the earth trembled with the weight of many horses charging toward the village. The farmer looked up, and there, leading the herd, was his own horse, strong and alive, followed by a dozen wild companions it had brought back from the mountains. The villagers rushed to see, their eyes widened in disbelief. "What incredible luck," they exclaimed. "Not only has your horse returned, but it has brought you many more. You are the richest man among us now." Their voices were filled with awe, their envy barely hidden. Yesterday they pitied him, today they envied him. Such is the nature of human opinion, shifting as quickly as the wind. But the farmer, standing calmly amidst the excitement, simply said once again, "Who knows if this is good or bad?" The villagers were stunned. How could he say this? Was he blind to his good fortune? Couldn't he see the wealth standing right before him? Yet the farmer knew something they did not. Appearances deceive. What seems like fortune may carry hidden burdens. What appears as misfortune may hold unseen blessings, and to cling too tightly to either label is to miss the deeper truth of life. This moment reveals another layer of Buddhist wisdom. The Buddha often spoke of attachment, how our grasping at pleasure and our resistance to pain keep us trapped in cycles of suffering. The farmer's neighbors attached themselves instantly to the idea of fortune. They celebrated, they praised, they envied, but the farmer did not cling. He remained steady, neither exalting nor despairing. Think of how we often react in our own lives. A sudden promotion, a financial gain, a stroke of luck, we celebrate as if happiness is guaranteed. Yet how many times has success brought stress, wealth brought conflict, or recognition brought envy? What we first celebrated later revealed its hidden weight. The farmer's calm voice, his refusal to label, is not cold indifference, it is clarity. It is the wisdom of knowing that every event carries within it countless possibilities, and only time reveals what they truly mean. The herd of wild horses stood in his fields, strong and untamed, symbols of abundance. The villagers celebrated his fortune as if the story had reached its perfect ending. But the story was not finished. Life was preparing its next twist, one that would once again test the farmer's quiet wisdom. The wild horses were a sight to behold, strong, fierce, and restless. They filled the farmer's land with their power, a living treasure that others could only dream of. Yet, as anyone who has lived long enough knows, fortune often carries shadows. The farmer's only son, eager and youthful, set about taming one of the wild horses. Day after day, he struggled with its spirit, pulling the reins, guiding its strength, trying to bend it to his will. Until one afternoon, the horse reared violently, throwing him hard to the ground. A sharp cry echoed across the fields. When the dust settled, the boy's leg was broken. The villagers rushed again to the farmer's home. Their voices were heavy with sorrow. "What terrible misfortune," they said. "Your son is crippled, unable to work the fields. What use are the horses now if he cannot help you?" To them, this was disaster. The wealth of horses seemed meaningless in the face of injury, a broken leg. In a farming family was more than pain. It was hardship, limitation, and fear for the future. But the farmer, calm as ever, looked at them and replied with the same words that had puzzled them before. "Who knows if this is good or bad?" The villagers were bewildered. Was he blind to his son's suffering? Did he not care that the boy might limp for life? They could not understand how he could stand so steady, how he refused to curse his fate or weep with despair. Yet in his calmness lay the echo of the Buddhist teachings. Suffering is an inseparable part of life, but how we relate to suffering shapes our experience of it. The farmer did not deny the pain. He did not pretend his son's injury was pleasant, but neither did he cling to the judgment that it was a curse. He knew what the villagers did not, that the story of life unfolds beyond the horizon of a single moment. How often do we react like the villagers? Something goes wrong, an illness, a failure, a loss, and we brand it immediately as bad. We carry the weight of that label, sometimes for years, never noticing that what felt like an ending may later reveal itself as a beginning. The farmer's son lay in bed, his leg bound and swollen, his days of running and working suddenly paused. To the villagers, it was nothing but misfortune. To the farmer, it was simply another page in the great book of life, and he turned it with quiet patience. And soon enough, life would reveal why his calmness mattered. For while the boy healed slowly at home, the winds of war began to sweep across the land. Soldiers marched from village to village, recruiting the young men for battle. Families wept as their sons were taken away, many never to return. But in the farmer's house, the broken leg kept the boy home. What once seemed like misfortune would soon reveal itself as a hidden blessing. The season turned. What had once been a quiet village soon echoed with the heavy footsteps of soldiers. War had erupted in the land, and the king's army spread far and wide, gathering every able-bodied young man to fight on distant battlefields. The villagers trembled as the soldiers arrived. Mothers clung to their sons. Fathers tried to hide their fear, but the army showed no mercy. They needed recruits, and they would take them. One by one, the young men of the village were led away. Their futures uncertain, their families left behind with tears and silence. When the soldiers reached the farmer's home, they found his son lying in bed, his leg bound in splints, still healing from the fall. A broken limb made him useless for battle. The commander looked once, shook his head, and moved on. And just like that, the boy was spared. The villagers, who had once pitied the farmer for his son's injury, now gasped in amazement. Their own sons had been taken to war. The farmer's son remained safe at home. They cried out, "What great fortune! You are blessed. Your son is saved while ours march toward death." Their voices carried envy and sorrow, praise and regret, all tangled together. But the farmer, steady as a mountain, gave the same answer as always. Who knows if this is good or bad? The villagers could hardly bear his words. How could he speak so calmly when his son's life had just been spared? Wasn't this obviously good? But the farmer knew what they did not, that life is not a simple chain of luck and loss. What we call a blessing may lead to struggle. What we call a curse may protect us in ways we cannot yet see. This moment is the heart of the parable. The very injury once called misfortune became the very thing that protected the boy from the horrors of war. The broken leg, once a source of pity, turned into a shield. What had seemed like a closed door was, in truth, a hidden path of survival. Here lies a profound teaching found in Buddhism. Everything is interdependent. Events do not exist in isolation. What happens today links to what unfolds tomorrow, like beads in a necklace, each one tied to the next. To label any moment as absolutely good or absolutely bad is to ignore the vast web of causes and conditions that continue to unfold. Think of your own life, a heartbreak that felt unbearable, but later led you to discover a deeper love, a failure that humbled you, only to open the door to new opportunities. A delay that frustrated you, but later revealed it had saved you from harm. How many times has life surprised you in this way? The farmer's story is not about blind optimism, nor is it about indifference. It is about wisdom, the wisdom to stay open, to not cling too tightly to judgment, and to trust that the unfolding of life is far more complex than our immediate perceptions. The villagers wept for their sons taken to war. The farmer tended to his boy, grateful for his presence but not lost in celebration. For he knew the truth, life would continue to turn, and no moment, no matter how blessed or cursed it seemed, was ever the final word. The story of the farmer might seem simple: a horse lost, a horse returned, a son injured, a son spared from war. Yet beneath these events lies a deeper current, one that Buddhism has illuminated for centuries: the law of karma, the intricate weaving of cause and effect. In everyday language, people often speak of karma as if it were some cosmic scoreboard: do good, receive good; do bad, receive bad. But in its true essence, karma is far more subtle, far more profound. It is not about reward or punishment handed down by an unseen judge. It is the natural unfolding of causes and conditions, like ripples spreading across a still pond after a stone is dropped. The farmer understood this intuitively. He did not see events as isolated accidents. He saw them as part of a larger web, each moment connected to the next in ways the eye cannot immediately grasp. The lost horse led to new horses. The broken leg led to safety. What seemed like fortune turned to misfortune, and what seemed like misfortune became protection. In Buddhism, this is called pratityasamutpada, dependent origination. Nothing arises independently. Every event, every experience, every breath we take is the result of countless conditions coming together. The horse's escape was not simply chance. It was shaped by the opening of a gate, the nature of the animal, the stillness of the night. The care of the farmer and its return with a herd was shaped by conditions far beyond what any villager could see. When we judge too quickly, we close ourselves to this wider reality. We say this is bad or this is good as though the story has ended. But the truth is, the story never ends. Karma continues to unfold. The wheel keeps turning. Think of your own life, that opportunity you missed. Perhaps it spared you from a path that would have broken your spirit. That failure you endured, perhaps it planted the seeds of wisdom and resilience you now carry. That person who left your life, perhaps their absence created space for you to grow. The Buddha once said, if you want to understand your past, look at your present. If you want to understand your future, look at your present actions. Every choice, every response, every thought even creates ripples that shape what comes next. The farmer's calm acceptance. His refusal to cling to judgment was itself an act of karma, planting seeds of peace in the soil of his own heart. The villagers, by contrast, were tossed about by their judgments. When the horse was lost, they drowned in pity. When the horse returned, they soared with envy. When the son broke his leg, they cried in despair. When he was spared from war, they shouted with joy. Their peace rose and fell with each event, like leaves blown helplessly by the wind. Isn't that how many of us live, tied to circumstances, bound by the endless labels of fortune and misfortune, good and bad, success and failure? One moment we are elated, the next we are broken. But karma teaches us that peace does not come from controlling the waves, it comes from seeing the ocean. The farmer's wisdom was not magical. He did not escape the reality of life. His horse truly was lost, his son truly was injured. But by stepping back, by refusing to judge too soon, he opened himself to the larger unfolding of karma. And in doing so, he remained steady while others were shaken. This is the invitation of Buddhism, to look beyond the surface, to see the vast web of causes and conditions in which we live, and to let go of the narrow habit of labeling. Life is not a series of isolated fortunes and misfortunes. It is a river of interconnected events flowing endlessly, carrying us forward. And so the farmer's story reminds us, when life surprises you, whether with gain or with loss, pause, breathe, do not rush to declare it good or bad. For who knows what ripples are still moving beneath the surface? Who knows what new unfolding awaits? We humans carry a curious habit, one so deep and automatic that we hardly notice it. At every turn, with every experience, we rush to stamp a label upon it. This is good, this is bad, this is lucky, this is unfair. Our minds, restless and eager, crave certainty. The villagers in the farmer's story lived by this habit. A lost horse, misfortune. A herd returned, fortune. A broken leg, tragedy. A spared son, blessing. Their emotions rose and fell as quickly as the events themselves, their peace entirely dependent on labels that shifted with every twist of fate. And isn't that the same with us? A compliment at work makes us feel worthy. A criticism makes us feel small. A win fills us with joy. A loss leaves us crushed. We are pulled back and forth by the labels we attach to life, as though our happiness depends not on life itself, but on the story we tell about it. Buddhism teaches us to look more closely. The Buddha often spoke of the mind as a painter. It colors reality not with truth, but with perception. When we say this is good, what we really mean is this matches my desires. When we say this is bad, what we really mean is this goes against my desires. Our judgments are less about reality and more about preference. Imagine standing in the rain. One person curses it as misfortune. Another blesses it as nourishment for the fields, and a child delights in it as play. The rain itself is the same. What changes is the label each person attaches to it. The farmer's wisdom was not in denying the reality of his experiences. He felt the loss of the horse, the pain of his son's injury, the relief of his son's safety. But he did not imprison these experiences in labels. He let them breathe, allowed them to unfold, trusted that their true meaning would be revealed only with time. The human habit of labeling blinds us to this unfolding. We cling to our judgments as if they are final. We declare, this is the end, when life is only turning the page. We mistake the shadow of a single moment for the shape of the entire story. How many times in your life have you been wrong about your own labels? The relationship you thought was the worst heartbreak became the seed of your growth. The job you thought was perfect turned out to be a prison. The delay that frustrated you saved you from harm. How often have your bad moments been blessings in disguise, and your good moments revealed hidden costs? The Buddha called this delusion seeing through the narrow lens of attachment and aversion, mistaking our judgments for reality. The path of wisdom invites us to loosen our grip, to step back and see with clearer eyes. When the farmer said, "Who knows if this is good or bad?" he was not avoiding reality. He was reminding us that life cannot be reduced to the labels we stamp upon it. By refusing to judge too soon, he remained open to the mystery of what was yet to come. And perhaps that is what peace truly means, not the absence of pain or the guarantee of pleasure, but the freedom from being enslaved by our own judgments. The farmer's story may feel like a tale from another time, horses, villages, fields, and wars. Yet its wisdom is timeless because the human heart has not changed. Today, our lives may be filled with skyscrapers and smartphones, but we still rush to label every moment as fortune or misfortune. We still cling to the illusion that we can control how life unfolds. Think about how success is measured in our modern world. A promotion, a new car, a bigger house. More followers online. Each achievement is quickly labeled good, and we celebrate as though we have conquered life itself. Yet how many people have gained everything they thought they wanted, only to find themselves more stressed, more restless, more disconnected than before? Failure, too, is often misunderstood. A rejected job application feels like the end of a dream. A breakup feels like the collapse of love itself. A financial loss feels like a disaster. But how often have we seen these failures later revealed as turning points? The path that seemed closed opened the way to something better. The heartbreak that left us shattered prepared us to love more deeply. The illusion lies in our belief that we know. We think we know what is good, what is bad, what will make us happy, what will break us. We plan, we control, we cling. And when life does not follow our script, we suffer. Buddhism teaches that this illusion of control is one of the roots of human dissatisfaction. Life is impermanent, unpredictable, beyond the reach of our demands. The more tightly we hold on, the more painful it feels when life inevitably shifts. Look at the world of social media. One viral post can make someone an overnight sensation fortune. Yet just as quickly, criticism and scandal can turn admiration into hatred, misfortune. What looks like success may carry hidden suffering, and what looks like failure may hide seeds of growth. The farmer's calm voice, his steady "who knows," is a reminder for us here and now. When we lose the job, when the relationship ends, when the plan fails, do not rush to despair. And when the opportunity comes, when the reward arrives, when success shines, do not cling too tightly, because neither success nor failure defines the whole story. Both are waves upon the surface of life's vast ocean. This perspective does not mean we stop striving or that we live passively. It means we live with wisdom. We do our best, but we release the illusion that we can control outcomes. We embrace each moment fully, but we do not imprison it in rigid labels. Imagine living this way in your own life. Instead of drowning in stress over every twist and turn, you meet each moment with curiosity. Instead of clinging to success or fearing failure, you see both as teachers. Instead of trying to control every detail, you learn to flow with life, trusting its deeper unfolding. The farmer's story is not just an ancient parable. It is a mirror held up to our modern struggles. Success and failure are not the final words. Fortune and misfortune are not fixed truths. They are shifting forms, changing shapes, illusions that dissolve when seen through the lens of wisdom. And perhaps the greatest freedom comes not from controlling life, but from no longer needing to. There is a word in Buddhism that captures the essence of the farmer's wisdom. That word is equanimity, a calm balance of mind, a steady heart that does not swing wildly with every rise and fall of life. Equanimity does not mean indifference. It does not mean you stop caring, stop feeling, or turn cold. Rather, it is the strength to remain centered even when the world shakes around you. It is the ability to experience joy without clinging to it, and to endure pain without being consumed by it. The farmer embodied equanimity. While the villagers rushed to label every twist of fate, his calm words revealed a mind at rest. He did not deny his reality. He felt the loss of his horse, the pain of his son's injury, the relief of his son's safety. But he did not let those feelings control him. He stood at the still point in the middle of the storm. In our own lives, equanimity is the key to freedom. Imagine how much energy we waste being pulled back and forth by every praise and insult, every win and loss, every gain and setback. One day we feel like kings, the next day like failures. We ride an endless roller coaster of emotions, always dependent on circumstances outside our control. But what if your inner peace was no longer at the mercy of those circumstances? What if your calm remained steady no matter what came your way? That is the gift of equanimity. The Buddha compared equanimity to the vast ocean. Waves rise and fall, storms come and go, yet the depths remain unmoved. In the same way, when our hearts are anchored in wisdom, life's ups and downs may ripple the surface, but the depths of our being remain still. Think of the challenges you face today. Maybe it's financial uncertainty. Maybe it's conflict in relationships. Maybe it's pressure from work or fear about the future. What if you could meet those challenges not with panic, but with poise? Not with blind reaction, but with clarity. Equanimity gives us that freedom. It allows us to act wisely, to respond with compassion, to see clearly instead of being blinded by fear or greed. When we are steady inside, we make better choices outside. The farmer's story shows us that fortune and misfortune are not separate realities. They are two faces of the same coin, constantly turning. When we cling to one and resist the other, we suffer. But when we rest in equanimity, we rise above both. This is not an easy path. Our habit of labeling, our desire for control, our attachment to outcomes, these are strong. But equanimity is like a muscle. The more we practice, the stronger it becomes. Through mindfulness, meditation, and self-reflection, we learn to watch our thoughts without being swept away. We learn to observe the flow of life without drowning in it. And slowly, a shift happens. The roller coaster slows down. The storms lose their grip. We find ourselves breathing more freely, walking more lightly, living more deeply. Equanimity is not escape from life. It is the deepest way of living it, to be fully present yet not enslaved by the moment, to care deeply yet not be destroyed by disappointment, to love fully yet not be shattered by loss. This is the lesson of the farmer. This is the lesson of the Buddha, that peace is not found in chasing fortune or escaping misfortune. Peace is found in standing beyond them both, steady and free. The story of the farmer began with a horse, a simple twist of fate that set into motion questions of fortune and misfortune. Yet as we followed the unfolding events, what became clear was not the fate of the horse or even the destiny of the farmer's son. What became clear was the timeless truth carried in the farmer's calm voice, "Who knows?" His words echo across centuries, beyond the dusty roads of his village, into our modern lives filled with noise, ambition, and uncertainty. They remind us that life cannot be neatly divided into wins and losses, blessings and curses, beginnings and endings. Life is a river flowing, changing, surprising us at every turn. We, like the villagers, are quick to label, quick to cheer when things go our way, quick to despair when they don't. But the farmer's wisdom calls us to step back, to breathe, to let the story unfold before declaring its meaning. The truth is, we never see the whole picture in a single moment. What looks like the end may be the beginning. What feels like loss may carry a hidden gift. What we call misfortune may save us, and what we call fortune may test us. The Buddha taught that suffering arises not from life itself, but from the way we cling to it, clinging to what we want, resisting what we don't. The farmer showed us another way, a life lived with openness, balance, and trust in the great unfolding. Equanimity does not remove the storms from life, but it anchors us so we are not tossed helplessly by every wave. It allows us to live fully, love deeply, act wisely, and yet remain free. So as we leave this story behind, let us carry the farmer's eternal wisdom with us. When fortune smiles, let us not cling too tightly. When misfortune strikes, let us not despair too deeply. Let us meet both with the same calm heart, the same steady breath, the same quiet voice that whispers, "Who knows?" For in that question lies freedom, and in that freedom, peace. If this story has touched something within you, if the farmer's calm wisdom has reminded you to see life with softer eyes, then let this be just the beginning of your journey. Here on Zen Buddhism Wisdom, we share timeless teachings, parables, and reflections to guide you through the storms and stillness of life. If this resonates with your heart, I invite you to subscribe, to join this growing community of seekers and practitioners. Together, we explore the depth of Buddhist wisdom and the art of living with clarity, compassion, and peace. And as you continue on your path, may you carry with you the farmer's eternal words, "Who knows?" as a gentle reminder that every moment holds more than meets the eye.